A huge moo to the herd, and welcome to episode 27 of our Omnifactory playthrough. I haven't done a great deal between episodes. Basically, time was spent just letting the ore processing churn through. So we cleared out most of the stuff, and I think all I've got left now, no, it's all finished. I was getting some calcite done for a later episode, or this episode actually. The one thing I have done is I've upgraded my multi-smelter with Canthal coils, and so now instead of doing 16 at a time, it does 32 at a time, which is great. So the plan for today is, if we go into the quest book, is this bit here, because I want epoxy substrates, because one of the things I did do between episodes is upgrade my storage to 64K drives. I've got 4 of them, and they're really expensive if you use the first tier 4 circuits. So I'd like to get to the second tier 4 circuits at least to try and reduce the cost. But this is all locked behind epoxy substrates. So I want to get epoxy made. To that end, we're going to try and set up a production line, which will give me the epoxy, which will then give me the substrates, and then we can look at getting into the higher tier circuits. So if we go through the quest manual, first thing it says about fish oil. Fish oil comes from, surprisingly, fish. Ugh. I hope that was the correct pronunciation of ugh. So what I have done, if you look over here, I have a drawer with fish in it, and that fish is coming from my Guardian model. So I've added an extra loop fabricator in there, and it's just producing raw fish. So what we need to do, first of all, if we go downstairs to where my HV production line will be, is take those raw fish and extract the fish oil from them, which doesn't sound too pleasant at all. So first thing I've got is a fluid extractor. I'm going to drop that down here, and what I'm going to need to do is pop an interface on it, one of the flat ones here, and we'll just cut through the ground, and hopefully, nope, didn't want to break that one. That's kind of useful, that kind of powers it all. Nope, not that. Ta-da! Is find some ME conduit. Just run a piece along here. Right, sitting right there. No problem. And pop you up there, and we'll take some of our covered flicks and just connect that in. So what I want to be doing is to drop fish, unsurprisingly, into that one. So we've got a constant supply of fish oil. Go grab a fish. And once we've got this one in place, we'll move on to the next step. So you in there, give me fish. And of course I forgot to pop the conveyor. So let me go grab a conveyor. See if I've got any in the storage. No, so I'll just grab one. Didn't take too long to build. Right, after we've got our fish oil, which as I said is not very pleasant, the next step is to go and turn the fish oil into glycerol, and that is done with a chemical reactor with tiny piles of sodium hydroxide. We've been making sodium hydroxide when we've been electrolyzing the salt water for chlorine, so we've got plenty of that. Methanol is coming from our distillation tower for rocket fuel, and this is seed oil, and the one I wanted is fish oil, which is this one, which we're just setting up now. So if I look at how much methanol I've got 271 buckets, so that should do me for a good start. Is that little thing done? That's done. So conveyor, grab that. What I'll probably do is I'm going to craft, say, 5 of these. Need some rubber sheets. Right, I'll make those up in a minute. Probably need more pumps than I do conveyors, but we will have a look at that in a second. So we'll just slap our conveyor in, figure it to import, and now we should be producing fish oil and at a reasonable speed. So next thing we need is the chemical reactor. I created a few of these up. One thing I want to do is I'm going to wrench the output to here, and I'll have chemical reactor, and I want you to auto output fluids. So now I should be getting fish oil in my advanced chemical reactor. So what else do we need for glycerol? We need methanol and seed oil. So for that end, we're going to need to put up another ME interface here. And we're also going to need a fluid interface here, and we'll just get those connected up. Not that one. Okay, so they're now connected up. And what we want in here is to grab a bucket of methanol, and I'll grab some sodium hydroxide, and we'll grab another conveyor as well, because we will be needing that. Should have enough for one. So sodium hydroxide, a new pile, and bucket of methanol. My conveyor done. Almost. It's just doing the cables now. Doobie-doobie-doo. Oh, things take forever. Right, good. Let's get this set up so we can get our glycerol. We're also going to get biodiesel from it, which will probably be useful later. Right now, I'm not so sure. So that goes there. I'll pop one up here. And I forgot to get a pump as well, so I have to get that sorted. But you go in there. What I will need to do is allow input from output side. Right, so fish oil going in there, tiny sodium piles of sodium hydroxide once I've got the conveyor in place. Your import. That's that done, that's that done. Right, now let me just get some pumps. We can move on to glycerol. Maybe 5 of them. Probably need more than that, but need some steel plates. Let's make 4. Get me going, and I'll get everything else made up in a sec. Obviously, I need some steel plates, so let's just make some steel up. We're doing this. Meanwhile, I did actually see some LV pumps. I don't think I need more than that. Just grab those for the time being. Just to get us going. I can always replace these later. Pump. Set you to import. Now what will that give us? That should... Does. It gives us glycerol and biodiesel. And one thing I'll do, it's going to look absolutely ugly. You'll see that interface right down the bottom. I'm going to run an export cable all the way down to here, an end dry out fluid cable. We're just going to export the fluid straight out there. But first we've got glycerol. So that's what we needed. So that's that done. Now we need epichlorohydrin. And that is made with hydrochloric acid and glycerol. So another chemical reactor in here. So I need to export the glycerol into this one. So I need a fluid filter, I think. I could just take that because I want to extract the biodiesel out that end. But I want the glycerol to go into this one to make the epichlorohydrin. So let me go get some fluid filters. I'm sure I actually made any of these. Fluid filter. Easy to make. I've got my pumps. I can do, if I wrench the output on this one, there, drop a fluid filter in, use my screwdriver, filter drain, and what I want, can I drag these in? Let's find out. Glycerol. And perfect. So filter drain, glycerol, and then do I start outputting in there, or do I have to do that? Can you do anything? I mean, you should be auto outputting into this one, assuming that I have actually wrenched that into the right place. Doesn't seem to be working. I'll just use the pumps. Right, where's my crowbar? You are. You off. And we'll drop a pump in. Configure the pump. Fluid filter. Okay, glycerol. I assume it is glycerol there, and I'm not something else. No, it is glycerol. And we want that to export. I wonder if I actually had that round the wrong way. I'm going to just try something quickly. Let's just take the filter. No, that's drain. We want to drain from the result, so that's got to be right. So this all in. Take our chemical reactor, and that's putting glycerol into that one. Perfect. The next thing is to grab another fluid filter. Into there, and our cable. And I need a bucket of, what is it, hydrochloric acid? Hydrochloric acid and glycerol equals water and epichlorohydrin. Now I'm making hydrochloric acid from, I think it's my polyvinyl chloride setup. So let's first of all drop my bucket of methanol back in here and grab hydrochloric acid. Yes, I have 82 buckets of it. So I'm obviously going to need to think about ramping up the production of those. I'm just going to drop that into here. And we'll take our last pump that we've got on us, drop that on, and set you to import. And obviously allow input from output side, as it won't work. So there we are. We have water, which we can just get rid of, but we're making epichlorohydrin. Excuse me. So what's causing this? It's just the fish oil production, which I suspected might be a problem. So I went and made a load just to get us boosted up a bit. So just go grab that. My LV fluid extractor. Just let me drop it in there. Stop filling out. Right, I'm putting it in that one. That confused the heck out of you. Right, so we have epichlorohydrin or epichlorohydrin. What do we need next? According to this, we need 2 approaches producing epoxy, bisphenol or bisphenol A and naphtha. Well, both approaches require epichlorohydrin, which we've got. Naphtha is the simplest approach, which is mixed with nitrogen oxide and epichlorohydrin to yield epoxy. Well, we're not going to know that route because we've done everything else. BPA can be produced using petrochemistry distillation products or via distilling charcoal byproducts from your pyrolyzed oven into useful components. So we've got our pyrolyzed oven here, and I've hooked it up to a fluid interface. It's just down the bottom. We just drop coal in, get that out, and that'll give me the phenol, which if we go up to our fluid interface, drop this in here, you'll see I have 14 buckets of it already. So I have the phenol. What else do I need? So what are we making? We are making bisphenol A. So I need phenol, got acetone and hydrochloric acid. Well, we have hydrochloric acid. Hopefully we've got enough. Not going to need to make some more. Yes, we do, but not a great deal. So I am going to need to do that. We've got our phenol, so we need acetone now. And acetone is simply a chemical reaction of acetic acid and calcite dust. Oh, as you can see, I made a lot of calcite from my just producing it. I used some coins to produce to get some calcite oil and just put that through my production line. So the other thing I need is acetic acid, which we have at 385 buckets from our distillation tower. Let me grab a bucket of that so I can add it into our interface. This is where things will get a little bit complicated, especially when I realise I have to go back and get some more pumps. Never mind. We are going to get this done. So pumps should have enough steel now. Make at least 5 of these. No, I don't. Where's my steel? Is there not? I thought I made up a load more steel. Not converted into blocks. Let's have a look. Yeah, I've got 9 blocks of steel. I'll tell you what, let's just convert those into plates quickly. Probably where the problem is. And I'll... Oh, did I put something? I did. calcite dust. We'll get those made up and we'll get the machine set up and everything else whilst the pumps are being created. So we're going to need a chemical reactor to make the acetone first. And you, for acetone, what are you? You are calcite dust and acetic acid. So we are going to need one of these, one of these, you can go here, AME interface, and you can go here. Allow input from output side. We'll get you set up with that. We'll get some cables connected in. Right. So then I just need a pump and a conveyor. And we can start making acetone up. Right, so let's just pour acetic acid in here with the calcite. Just confirm that is the case. Calcite dust, acetic acid, and I'm missing something. What am I missing? Calcite, acetic acid should be producing acetone and carbon dioxide. I've got the voltage there. Am I misreading something? Got calcite dust, got acetic acid. 4 buckets of acetic acid. That would be why it's not working. That's relatively easy to fix. I want to say there's a lot of rubber here. There is, which I can quickly turn into rubber plates for the conveyors. All in this advanced compressor. Yes. Done. Right in there. Right, pump. 5. Conveyor. Maybe 5 of these. Right, so get the pumps and everything else. Right, after we've done the acetone, we've got the phenol, we've got acetone. What else was there required? Phenol, check. Acetone, check. Hydrochloric acid, check. Okay, so I'm going to need some buckets. Do I have any in the system? No, I thought I had a load more buckets than that. Ethanol bucket in here. 2. Oh, we can need just 3. Oh, I've got my tank. It's empty, that'll do. So I'm going to need a bucket of hydrochloric acid. Sorry. Bucket of phenol. And once I've got the acetone set up, we'll need a bucket of that as well. I can then pump the acetone straight into the next machine. So I'm not going to worry too much about that, but I will grab another fluid filter. So, are my conveyors done? Nope, they're still drafting slowly. Let's see if we can't get the pump at least set up and get our first acetone set up. pump in here. Up. Configure it to import. Now, yes, now that's working. Once the conveyor's in, we should then start to see us producing acetone, which we will then take a pump, put that in there, configure it, fluid filter. I want acetone. Which one? Acetone. Okay. I want you to export acetone, and that can go into our next chemical reactor. And I should see acetone going in there. And then we'll pop a fluid filter onto the back of this. We'll say we want phenol in here, hydrochloric acid, and we'll just connect that up here. And the thing I need is a pump. There. And we want that to import. Now, all being well, I'm not importing. Phenol hydrochloric acid, you're being provided. We've got a pump cover, importing. Oh, yeah, of course. Allow input from output side. So, hydrochloric acid, phenol, acetone, that gives us water and bisphenol A, which is cool. So, we want to export the bisphenol A into the next machine. So, what do we need to get this? Epoxy sheets, chemical reactor of bisphenol A and epichlorohydrin with some sodium hydroxide. So we're going to need another chemical reactor, and that with a fluid solidifier should give us our epoxy. So what I'll do is I'll pause here, I'll get those things crafted up, and when we come back we should be ready to make epoxy. So we'll be back soon. Okay, so we're back. I have dropped our advanced chemical reactor 2 down with epichlorohydrin, sodium hydroxide, sodium hydroxide, and eventually, waiting on, probably add glycerol actually. Yeah, fish oil production is quite slow, so that's going to take some time. But once that's done, it will produce the epoxy resin in here. Once we've got the bisphenol A, which requires phenol, that requires acetone, which is missing. What are you missing? What are you missing? Acetic acid and calcite. Am I out of calcite dust? I messed something up. I have messed something up. I haven't put a conveyor in. That's what I'm missing. Set you to import. Right, so that should give me my acetone. And we'll leach off the carbon dioxide because I'm pretty sure that could be useful for something. Once the acetone's in there, that will make my bisphenol A, which will be merged with the epichlorohydrin, sodium hydroxide to make epoxy resin. And if I drop this thing in here, this will start making epoxy sheets. And fair amount per stack, so that's 27. The last thing I need is another advanced chemical reactor. I'm just going to grab one of these just for the quest completion. That's epoxy done. So the next thing is the epoxy substrate, which is epoxy sheets, copper foil, and sulfuric acid. So one chemical reactor, disconnect this. We will get our wrench and have the output for this there. Set you to auto output. once you have enough epoxy resin, we will then take a ME interface, drop you at the top. And the last thing I want is an fluid interface. Pop you here. We'll pop a pump on. I did order some pumps actually. I forgot to pick them up though. Quickly grab those. As you can tell, it's raining again. And I'll drop the pump here. What I want is sulfuric acid. And just configure this for import. So I've got sulfuric acid going here once I do the allow input from up the side. And we'll just connect this up here. And we're just going to drop a pattern in here for the epoxy circuit board. Do that. And what should happen is that should output any plate into this one. Got the right one, I have. That plus the copper foil. So the one thing I will need to do is alter my recipe. So I'm not sure the plates are used for anything else. Let's find out. I can make an epoxy resin gear. Yeah. Pulverize it, fluid extract it, chemical react it, which is what we're going to do, or cluster mill it into thin epoxied sheets, which don't seem to have a use. So, outputting straight into there is probably the best option. So if I go here, find my chemical reactor with that one, tweak the recipe a little to say I don't actually need that, I just need copper foils. Advanced chemical reactor 2, pop you in there, and now, if I can spell it correctly, I order one of these. You can see what's happening. It's currently crafting it up. Go down to our machine. Make sure it is actually doing its job. I just realised I need to configure it. Probably sitting there and crafted it up. It has, so just do output there. Now input from output side. And auto output. Oh, there we go. So that is it. We have our epoxy resin substrates. Just grab it so we get the correct completion. So it was relatively simple. There's a few things I need to work out, like the hydrochloric acid, and obviously the fish oil is going to take a long time. Let's see, epoxy, there's our epoxy circuit board. Perfect. So now we can start looking at unlocking some of these chips. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, feel free to give it a like. If you'd like to see more episodes, then please feel free to subscribe. Until then, I wish you a very pleasant day. Goodbye.